Good morning. Goodwill. Today I'm going to inform you that we're maintaining the talks in Washington in order to come to an agreement that they do not apply the measures that have been defined with unilateral measures of tariffs, imposed tariffs that affect to those that produce in Mexico and that sell their merchandise to the United States. We're dialoguing today at 10 in the morning. The talks continue, and I expect that they will come to an agreement. I have confidence they will come to an agreement so that these unilateral measurements will not be started as beginning Monday, as Donald Trump, president, has requested. Today, we want to have a relationship of friendship with the government and the people of the United States. That is our position. And to define this matter in order, with a lot of clarity, that we show that position of maintaining a relationship that's friendly. And I am going to convene the people of Mexico in all classes, cultures, for an act of unity in defense of the dignity of Mexico and in favor of friendship with the people of the United States. We will take this act into account next Saturday at 5 p.m. in Tijuana, Baja California. I am inviting the governors of all the states of the country. I will invite the legislators, federal, locals, of every type of expression. I will invite the ministers of the Supreme Court of Justice and of the power of judicial powers. I will invite directors, businessmen, field workers of social organizations. I will invite religious leaders. I will invite directors of companies. It's an act of community in order to defend the dignity of Mexico and in favor of friendship with the people of the United States. On Saturday, next week, at this following Saturday in Tijuana at 5 p.m. Later today, we will let you know the place that we will be congregating. I am letting you know with plenty of time so that those that want to assist will be able to go there or make arrangements, because that's where our land begins, and it takes time to walk, or I mean, not walk, but go there, transport yourself. And all citizens of all our country will be participating. And we will finalize our position. That will become expressed, taking into account that we want to have a good neighborhood or neighborly relationship with the USA, but at the same time defending the dignity of Mexico. We want to behave with lots of prudence, but at the same time with firmness in the defense of our sovereignty. They have behaved very well, the authorities of the United States. The President Trump, because they haven't closed the idea of dialogue. And we expect that the day today we will come to an agreement. And in any case, we will still have that convention on Saturday in Tijuana. Well, that's what I wanted to tell you, or communicate, and to convene and the friendship with Mexico and the unity of Mexico. That we not tear up the sacred friendship with the people of the United States.
¿Qué repercusiones podría tener la visión de los duros, los halcones de Washington, como Marco Rubio, el senador de ascendencia cubana por Florida, quien dice México debe proteger su frontera sur?
So the Cuban delegate is saying that Mexico should protect their southern border. And he says that it's a porous border. The newspaper New York Times proposes that Mexico Mexico should revise or review or examine the people that are entering from the south, and that they monitor that southern border that are heading to the north triangle, and that they should render accounting to the United States government to know who's coming from that part of the world.
condición de los inmigrantes que llegan del sur al norte del Suchiate y que respondería en esa condición.
So what would you say to that condition?
Al senador Marco Rubio por Florida.
No, nosotros no queremos
We don't want to
confrontar.
confront or
Tenemos ya una propuesta.
start fights
El día de ayer se presentó.
or threaten. We want to follow through with what was already presented
Migratoria.
with a political migration.
A las 10 se va a tener otro encuentro.
And today at 10, they're going to have another meeting.
Informando
And they are informing
el secretario de Relaciones Exteriores.
the Secretary of Foreign Relations regarding these themes or matters.
A pronunciarme
I will not be pronouncing myself.
a fondo, en definitiva, hasta
Uh,
el sábado.
definitely until
A
Saturday
las 5 de la tarde.
at 5 p.m.
Esto no significa que no va a haber información.
This doesn't mean there won't be information.
Va a estar
Marcelo Ebrard will be permanently
informando
informing
al pueblo de México.
the people of Mexico.
Y el sábado
And on Saturday
a las 5 de la tarde
at 5 p.m.,
yo voy a dar a conocer
I will let
mi propuesta.
them know what my proposal is.
Señor presidente, ¿cree que en su momento Nixon y sus sucesores que estableció la operación de intercepción con México, esa operación de intercepción ahora llevada a términos del lenguaje del presidente Trump, fracasen o a partir de lunes Estados Unidos aplique aranceles a las exportaciones o las importaciones de México?
Yo estoy optimista, yo
Well, I'm optimistic
llegar a un acuerdo.
that we're going to come to an agreement.
Siempre hemos dicho
And we have always said
mejor
that the best
es
thing is
diálogo
to dialogue
y el acuerdo.
and to come to an agreement.
Que más conviene
That's what is most convenient
a Estados Unidos y a México.
for the United States and Mexico.
No es recomendable la confrontación.
It's not recommendable to confront.
Así además
And besides that,
está expresando
that's how it's being expressed or by the people of Mexico.
que se mantenga una relación de amistad
They want us to maintain a relationship of friendship with the people and the government of the United States.
ahí va,
So therefore, that's the way we're going to act that way,
sin amenazas,
without threats,
balandronadas,
without
con mucha responsabilidad.
with lots of responsibility.
Tenemos que actuar
We have to behave
de manera responsable.
in a responsible manner, and we're doing that.
Esperar
So we're gonna
qué
wait
sucede.
to see what happens.
Hay quienes quisieran que
There are those that would like that we have a confrontation,
nosotros vamos a cuidar la relación
but we're gonna take care of our relationship
del gobierno de Estados Unidos,
with the government of the United States.
cuidar la relación con el presidente.
We'll take care of the relationship with President Trump, but beyond all, we will take care of the relationship with the people of the United States.
Eso es lo que más nos importa.
That is what is most important to us,
Muy buena relación.
to have very good relations with the United States people.
Vamos acá. Ya empezamos. Bueno, los dos.
So the two of you will start on this side.
Tengo dos preguntas. La primera, Alejandro Piñón de Megabatista. La primera tiene que ver con que la agencia Reuters decía que la reacción del presidente podría ser imponer aranceles a algunos productos estadounidenses, esto con la intención de golpear la base electoral.
So he says that there's somebody that's advising that the Mexican people could select a few items that they're going to be putting tariffs on in order to affect President Trump's election.
Electoral del presidente Donald Trump, saber qué responde ante eso usted y si es que este plan de acción estaría anunciándose el próximo sábado.
and if this plan would be announced next Saturday.
Bueno,
Well,
estamos atentos
we are attentive
a los resultados
to the results
de plática.
of these talks.
Optimista.
And I am optimistic, and I think we will come to an agreement.
Y se
And-
está escuchando la opinión
And we are listening to we're paying attention to the opinion of everyone,
obreros,
empresarios, workers, governors.
con gobernadores del PRI.
Yesterday I had a meeting with
Estoy escuchando
the PRI,
la opinión de
and
todos
I'm listening to the opinion of everyone.
y no quiero
And I do not want yet
hablar
to talk
de una posible respuesta,
about a possible answer
de que se impongan de manera
in case
unilateral
that unilateral tariffs were imposed.
todo se está analizando.
Yes, we're analyzing all of it.
Es un tema
It's a topic
que de interés público
that is of public interest,
lo está haciendo el gobierno,
not only the government,
lo está haciendo la gente.
but the people.
Baste ver las redes sociales
You just need to look at the social webs,
que están las más variadas opiniones,
and you'll see the most varied opinions,
todas las recomendaciones.
all the recommendations.
Yo siempre
I always monitor the
estoy
web, and I'm always attentive to
están recogiendo
it's a manner of
comunicación
following the feeling of the people.
los ciudadanos
And I have communication with the citizens in a direct manner,
no interactúan
the ones that don't interact with the web. Still,
opinión sobre
they still have an opinion over the
escucho
matter, and I listen to them.
y estamos
And we are
en sintonía.
in symphony.
Siempre vamos a estar consultando a los ciudadanos.
We will always be consulting the citizens.
Había ya analizado una lista de posibles productos a los que sí podrían ustedes imponer aranceles en caso de que se llegue a esta medida. ¿Es así? ¿Ya tienen una lista de posibles productos con los que podrían ustedes responder con la misma medida?
Is it possible that you have a list of products that you could reply and apply tariffs? He says we've been looking at all these things,
Observar,
but we're trying to conserve,
ante todo,
before anything,
está
the friendship
el pueblo.
with the people of the United States.
No confrontarnos.
We don't want to confront them.
Estamos analizando todo.
We're analyzing everything.
Hay quienes hablan de diversificar las relaciones.
There are those that speak of diversifying the relations with financial
Pues lo que hace
situations.
el tema
What has always been the topic
anterior
of political exterior for a long time.
de no poner, decía
Porfirio
Porfirio Díaz,
Diaz used to say,
en una canasta.
don't put all your eggs in one basket,
Diversificar.
diversify.
Él lo hizo.
And he did it.
En ese entonces
And at that time,
no solo había inversión estadounidense,
there wasn't just
inversión
US investments,
de
but there were investments from
guerra,
England, France,
España,
Spain,
mucha inversión.
lots of investments from Europe.
Hay estudios
There's studies regarding that,
sobre cómo se fueron diversificando las relaciones
how they went diversifying the,
anterior
at that time, how they went diversifying.
y es un tema
And it's a topic that always
debate.
is debated.
Los tenemos que ver
All these things we have to keep in mind.
que sin cerrarnos
I think
del mundo,
without closing ourselves off to the rest of the world and maintaining relations with the rest of the world,
darle atención especial
we will give special attention, or we should give special attention to the USA.
no, se está llevando a cabo esta negociación
We're taking this negotiation
acuerdo
and the possible agreement
a través de el secretario
by the Secretary of Relations in Mexico.
estoy informado de que están participando
And I've been informed that the Vice President
Estados Unidos,
of the U.S.
secretario
Secretary
de Estado,
of State,
entre otros.
among others.
Entonces
So therefore,
está manteniendo un buen diálogo,
they are maintaining a good dialogues, very respectful,
eso se puede decir porque es
that you can say
real,
because it's real.
hay desde luego discrepancias.
Of course, there are some discrepancies. However,
Ayer se acordó
yesterday
que se continuaran pláticas
we agreed to continue the talks
con el presidente Donald Trump,
with President Donald Trump. Gave us a message
pues
after
pláticas
the
en
meeting
ese sentido.
to that context
Hoy
that today at 10
se va a mantener el diálogo
they will continue with a dialogue looking for an agreement.
y en eso estamos
And that's what we're working on.
bien.
Very good.
Migrantes, Cristóbal Sánchez Mujica. Si usted tiene la información de por qué fueron detenidos, porque al parecer incluso a uno de ellos no había ni siquiera una orden de aprehensión, si conoce este caso, y por otro lado también preguntarle si esto no es parte de los acuerdos con Estados Unidos y el endurecimiento de la política.
So someone was held, and she wants to know if this has anything to do with the them trying to be stronger due to the policy of the U.S. And some people seems to have been held without order in order to do so.
Política migratoria en el sur del país. Gracias.
Bueno, lo segundo
The second thing,
no tiene
it has
fundamento.
no foundation.
No actuamos así.
We don't act that way.
Nosotros actuamos por principios.
We act with principles,
ideales.
with ideals.
No sé si existe orden de aprehensión,
I don't know if there exists an order of apprehension,
información
but I do have information that they were detained
y que están en la Fiscalía General.
and they are in the
Yo creo que la Fiscalía puede
general jail or something,
causas.
and they can inform you about the causes or the motives. It's basically what I can
Pero
comment.
sí quiero dejar claro
But I do want to make clear
que no actuamos
that we do not behave
consigna,
uh,
perjudicamos a nadie
to
de un gobierno
like a slogan. We don't attack
nuestra
people from another country. Above all, our dignity.
Sí, sí, sí.
¿No se va a endurecer, tomar otro tipo de medidas, filtros de seguridad de cara a lo que puede pasar?
Are you going to take other measures?
Ayudando,
We are helping.
dicho,
I've said it before.
problema
It's a
se origina
it's a problem that originates fundamentally
en Centroamérica
in Central America
porque hay una crisis
because there's a crisis,
grave,
grave,
económica, social,
economical and social,
sobre todo en Honduras,
overall and mostly in Honduras. And lots of our brothers
centroamericanos,
from Central America,
se ven obligados,
they find themselves forced to immigrate.
busca de algo que mitigue su hambre, su pobreza,
Something to mitigate their hunger,
por la violencia.
their
Entonces,
poverty, and also there's violence. And we have to be conscious of these things.
existencia
That's why our insistence that they attend the causes.
comenzó la relación
Since the relationship began
con el presidente Trump,
with President Trump,
la primera correspondencia
the first correspondence
fue una carta
was a letter
donde les expongo
where I
el problema,
explained the problem, and I suggested
las causas,
that they attend the causes
porque no es un asunto solo de medidas coercitivas,
It's not just a matter of forcible measures. It requires to attend
problema,
the problem
lo que origina el problema.
where the problem originates.
Entonces, la mayor parte
So the major part of the migration has to do with
con los países centroamericanos,
the Central American countries,
en particular.
and in particular Honduras.
Nuestra propuesta es
So our proposal is that we support
a los pueblos
the,
de Centroamérica
the people of Central America,
que se impulsen las actividades productivas, que haya trabajo,
that we
bienestar,
that we help to compel them to make work available, and safety and health and welfare.
esa es nuestra propuesta.
That is our principal proposal.
de México para aceptar el ingreso, no solamente de migrantes centroamericanos,
What is the limit of how many we will be?
no solamente vienen de Centroamérica.
They're not only coming from Central America, from all work.
Esto por un lado, ¿cuál es el límite? ¿Cuántas
What is the limit
personas puede
of
aceptar México?
people that we will accept from other countries that want to go to the U.S.?
Leyes
We will apply our laws
y evitar
and prohibit or prevent
migración.
migration, illegal migration.
Planteamiento.
That's one plan. Or,
Respetando los derechos humanos.
and do it respecting human rights, nothing by force.
Debe saberse
And what you should know,
es que en esos migrantes vienen niños,
that
miles de niños,
there's thousands of migrants among those
niños
immigrants, and there's children that are alone without parents.
es una crisis
It's a
profunda,
profound crisis,
humanitaria.
humanitarian.
Entonces no se puede atender cerrando
So
fronteras.
you cannot attend it by closing the borders.
Hay que atender en donde se origina
You need to attend to it
social.
where the social problem begins or originates.
Ayer en Gómez Palacio Durango, pues se aseguró a 176 migrantes. Pareciera que con estas acciones el gobierno federal de alguna manera sí está respondiendo bueno, pues las llamadas del presidente Donald Trump en torno al tema de detener los flujos
Es que no se
migratorios.
puede
They think that we're somehow helping them to hold back the migrants.
transiten.
But we can't allow them to just migrate through our
Tenemos
territory. We have to
las leyes
apply the laws
violar los derechos humanos.
without violating human rights, and at the same time
Que se atiendan las causas.
asking that they attend to the causes that originate with a migrant phenomena.
acompañamientos para dar opciones
They're going to accompany them
país
to help them
acompañamiento de regreso
to,
a sus países.
they'll help them to return to their lands of origin or to get jobs.
¿Usted tiene conocimiento de que el presidente Donald Trump intentó comunicarse con usted antes de anunciar la medida de los aranceles del 5%? ¿Tiene conocimiento de que...
Do you know that if Mr. Trump tried to call you and you couldn't accept his call?
Comunicación,
No, we have very good communication.
fuese de esa forma. Una ocasión
On one occasion,
andaba en un viaje,
I was on a trip
pues no hay,
where there is poor connection.
no, pero quisimos comunicarnos,
We tried to communicate, but we couldn't.
posible,
But it was not possible.
pero no era para este tema.
But it was not regarding this matter or topic.
Sí, para lo del acero, básicamente. O sea, qué bueno que usted se ayuda.
¿Qué ministros le han confirmado que van a ir el sábado a Tijuana y si han convocado también a los dirigentes de los partidos?
So have you,
La
who did you ask to go to the convention? All Mexicans are invited.
Muy buenos días, presidente.
Desde ahora,
As of today,
dando a ustedes
I'm letting you know,
la primicia,
permission,
No, a partir de ahora
as of now.
es aquí donde lo estoy dando.
This is where I'm letting everyone know. What better place?
Lugar, qué mejor momento.
What better moment
Sin presumir,
without
este es la
gloating? This is the conference that is most watched,
que más se escucha.
that is most listened to.
Entonces, aquí
So therefore, here we will communicate
todo el pueblo.
and the plan for all the people.
Buenos días, presidente. Rafael Herrera, corresponsal de Sin Censura con Vicente Serrano. Presidente, es una crisis migratoria la que
It's a
en este
migration
país
crisis,
se viene desde hace años.
but the crisis has been going on for years.
Mexicanos que están detenidos en centros de detención
In United States, there's
años.
countrymen that have been held in jails for many years and for unjust situations. Don't you think it's time to recognize the problem and to create a sector to deal with the immigrants situation
O la Secretaría de Migración, que desde un enfoque humano
from a human
nivel
focus,
Estado
and
este problema?
that they
Muchas gracias.
create a program for this. He says we don't need to create more bureaucratic apparatuses.
No sirve.
It doesn't work.
Es
More offices,
burocracia.
bureaucracy,
No,
and expenses.
el gobierno de México tiene
No, the government already has capacity
atender
to attend
el problema, lo está
the
haciendo.
problems, and they are doing it, and we are doing it well.
Y lo que se necesita pues es convencer,
And what we need is to convince
hay
them
que apoyar
that we
pueblos.
need to
Totalmente de acuerdo con usted,
support the growth of lands
deficiencia en
and
los
jobs.
espacios de la burocracia de las embajadas y los consulados.
Don't you think there's a deficiency of consulates?
Este fenómeno migratorio.
No, ya existe la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores.
No, they have a department that handles that,
Responsabilidad,
and they are
trabajo,
doing their job. They are working on it. Marcelo Ebrard
y el equipo
and his team
que está en Washington
that's in Washington,
es muy reconocido.
they're very well known.
Primera,
They're first class.
tenemos una extraordinaria embajadora,
We have an extraordinary ambassador in Mexico and in the US.
Marta Bárcenas,
Marta Bárcenas,
30 años de experiencia.
with 30 years of experience in foreign policies and
Equipo es de primera.
diplomacy,
Y,
and the team is
todos
first class, first rate,
tenemos que ayudar,
and we all have to help,
que apoyar.
and we all have
Por
to
eso,
um,
esta decisión
back
de
'em up.
convocar a todos los ciudadanos
That's why we are going to have a convention of all the citizens
que defendamos
so that we can defend together, we can defend the dignity of Mexico, and at the same time,
nos pronunciemos
we will pronounce ourselves to maintain
amistad
the
con
friendship
Estados Unidos.
with alteration, with the friendship with the United people, the United States people.
Buenos días, presidente. José Sobrevilla, de noreste de Veracruz. ¿Qué acciones seguirá su gobierno ante los casos de nepotismo?
What actions will your government take
Lista de Cuitlagua García en Veracruz, donde su primo, Eleazar.
Okay, what actions will you take regarding nepotism in Cuitlagua, Veracruz, where they have multiple family members involved in the government, that the part that he's working?
Es subsecretario de Finanzas y Administración del Gobierno del Estado y dos de sus hijos.
Two of his sons.
De Eleazar, Nitzia Araceli es directora de atención a la población vulnerable del DIF estatal involucrada en el pago de empresas fantasmas en desayunos infantiles.
So this guy's got two sons, and this lady who was involved in some of the phantom companies or phantom supposedly bodies of children that were supposed to be getting fed, and I guess they found that they were fake. So he's asking if she, she shouldn't be involved in government now because of that.
Y su hijo Eleazar Guerrero,
And her son
vinculación ciudadana de la Secretaría de Seguridad, también ha estado involucrado en
has also been involved
unas patrullas.
in the scandal involving some police vehicles.
Padre de, ha sido subdirector
He has been subdirector
del Consejo Estatal de Seguridad.
of the state security, public security,
Primo
and the cousin
también ha sido director de
has
la
been directory.
y su nombre es Belisario Reyes Herrera.
So he gave the names.
Las medidas que su gobierno tomaría
What measures
en este caso
will your government take regarding this matter?
Estamos recomendando que no haya nepotismo,
We are recommending there not be any nepotism,
que no se le dé trabajo a familiares,
that you not give jobs to family members,
lo que sucedía antes.
that the same thing that happened before not happen again. For example, in Veracruz,
Papá era gobernador,
the father was governor,
presidente,
the son president,
el otro hijo senador.
the other son a senator.
O sea, ya no.
No more of that.
Basta.
That's enough.
Nepotismo.
No more nepotism.
La autoridad competente
Let the competent authorities act.
ya hizo
Now you've
denuncia.
put in your
Digo que
claim,
Cuitláhuac es un hombre
and he believes that Huitzilopochtli is an honest person, not like the previous governors, and he'll take into account what has been mentioned, and they'll have to give an explanation.
Usted ha dicho en algunas ocasiones que México es yo agregaría que es un país xenófobo. Con todo este
You've said that Mexico is racist, and I would add xenophobic.
de la migración centroamericana hacia su frontera sur, ¿no teme usted que si se impone ese arancel de 5% haya reacciones adversas contra la población
So he's concerned that they might have attacks towards the people that are immigrants. To hold themselves together and not to attack the people when they see that if the tariffs do come to be. But the people of Mexico have very much solidarity. And we're going to continue to insist that above all is fraternity and justice. We cannot condemn those that, because of hunger and necessity, opt to migrate. They don't do it because they want to. They do it for necessity. Nobody leaves their family because they want to, their cultures. People walk away because they're looking for better living conditions and also to protect themselves. That's the story of migration. Therefore, Mexicans have very much solidarity, and in this case, regarding to our brothers, the migrations from Central America, we're giving them options to work. And in Chiapas, in Tabasco, in Veracruz, because we have a way of doing it. There's many Central Americans that are already working in Chiapas. And we have the means to help them. What we don't consider option or alternative is the use of force. Not that. We need to look for more growth in well-being. Why is it the South of our continent? Because in the North, there's more things, more economic growth, more work, better well-being. See how the behavior has been in the past few years in our country regarding economic growth. Where has the economic growth been? In the North, in the center. Where there hasn't been growth economical in decades is in the South and Southeast. So this extends to Central America. And lately, the crisis has become aggravated, the economics and well-being. So what is it that is most recommended? Because we need to propel the jobs and well-being. And if anything, I would say let's amplify the programs to rescue the fields and to create jobs. In Chiapas, they are planting 200,000 hectares. 800,000 jobs. But if it's necessary, we'll double it in Chiapas to 400,000 hectares, 160,000 jobs. Of course, that will require, but we already have the program. It has been defined the method of work. It requires to amplify work to produce more plants,
pero tenemos manera de hacerlo.
but we have a way of doing it.
El ejército,
With the military or
eh,
army,
eh,
they have
están produciendo plantas
they are producing the plants,
y tenemos posibilidad de ampliar
and we have a possibility
comunitarios
to amplify, and also community living quarters where people are participating,
otras acciones.
and other actions.
Ya empezamos
We've already begun
apoyos
to give
a productores de café,
help
a productores de caña,
to people that produce
la construcción de caminos
coffee.
con uso intensivo de mano de obra.
So they're going to be making the roads with hand labor,
Si es necesario,
and if it's necessary,
vamos a llevar a cabo
we will
un programa emergente
take into effect an emergent
industria de la construcción.
effort to increase the industry of construction
Indicadores se hacen las
that has a multiplicating,
se reactiva
uh,
la economía. O sea,
it
nosotros
reactivates economy.
sabemos
We know
cómo crear empleo
how to create jobs,
en México
to have well-being in Mexico,
y de esa manera lograr la paz.
and that way we'll reach peace and tranquility.
¿Qué opinión le merece que un presidente haya utilizado esta coyuntura con Estados Unidos para lanzar una recomendación a su gobierno con el logotipo de su próximo partido político?
No sé, no estoy enterado. O sea, no, de verdad, no. Ah, pero no sabía. A ver, usted, tú. Sí. Sí, sí.
No cumplido del gobierno del presidente Enrique Peña Nieto está lo que en un principio denominó autopista Acapulco-Huatulco, 500 kilómetros aproximadamente.
So among the things that Peña Nieto started and did not finish was a highway that is on the small part of the area of
Y que quedó en una ampliación de solamente 80 kilómetros.
they only made 80 kilometers.
Se va a está paralizada.
Are they going to continue with that? It's been 6 years and they've only created 80 kilometers.
Que es la Costa Chica, lo que usted conoce, los pueblos originarios,
These are
los afrodescendientes,
these are from the original people, Afro-American Mexicans.
combinación de caciques vinculados al narcotráfico, protegidos por grupos policíacos o venidos hasta del ejército.
And sometimes they have people in the little booths that ask for money that are part of the narcotic trafficking, and even sometimes involve the cops or the military.
Pues es la Costa Chica
That is the small coast
de Guerrero
of Guerrero
y la costa de Oaxaca.
and the coast of
Sí,
Oaxaca.
es una región abandonada.
It is an abandoned region
Guaji,
of Guaji
todos esos pueblos.
and all those little lands that I know very well,
Afroamericanos,
of Afro-Americans.
parte de una de las culturas más importantes de
Part of one of the most important cultures in our country. I do know of
la región.
that region.
Vamos a ver cómo quedó.
Let's see how the project was left.
Es de las obras
It's one of the works
rusas,
that was left
muchas obras.
not concluded. There's many that are left not concluded. And in some cases,
Está dando continuidad.
some are being continued.
Todos los casos
And in other cases,
esperando
we're waiting
depende de los recursos
because it depends on the financial resources
que se tengan.
and according to what's happening.
Darles que en esa región
But I will say that in that area,
dando vida
we will be applying the program Sembrando Vida.
es buena información,
It's good information
buena noticia.
or good news
Guerrerenses,
for the people from Guerrero, from the Costa Chica,
vamos a aplicar ahí
that we will apply there
programa
the program
Sembrando Vida.
to plant life.
Ahí
And there
también
also
se está apoyando ya a los productores de café.
We're supporting the people, the producers of coffee,
y ya empezó
and we began
la distribución del fertilizante.
the distribution of fertilizer
Entonces,
for the producers of Guerrero.
es una inversión
It's an investment,
de alrededor de 500 millones de pesos.
about 500 million pesos,
Se va a entregar
and we'll be
a todos los
delivering it to all the producers, that fertilizer, free,
ya empezaron
and they've already begun it.
a llegar trailers
They've sent trucks and trailers to the mountains
fertilizantes.
with fertilizer.
Hemos tenido algunos problemas
We've had some difficulties
de detención
of detention
de los carros,
of cars,
de personas.
of people.
Yo aprovecho para pedirle a todos
I'll take this opportunity to ask you all to help us,
este programa de fertilizantes
because this program,
solicitado por el gobernador,
the fertilizer was requested by the governor,
respondimos
and we responded
para que todos
so that all producers will have fertilizer.
estamos buscando también que sea fertilizante que no afecte
And we are also cautious that the fertilizer not affect the ground,
degrade,
that it not degrade the ground,
pues que se pueda aplicar,
that you can apply
eso va a
it,
significar
because it will mean
mejorar la producción
to improve production
de alimentos
of foods
en uno de los estados más pobres,
in the poorest states of Mexico.
el estado de Guerrero, que tanto
The state of Guerrero that has given so much to our nation. You couldn't
escribir
write
la historia de México
the story of
sin
Mexico
Guerrero.
without including Guerrero.
Vamos a ver lo del camino,
So we'll see about the road
en qué estado está
and what state it is,
y te informamos.
and we'll inform you.
Presidente, ¿cuál es la posición de Canadá
What is the position of Canada
en la conversación con Justin Trudeau sobre este tema? Porque
regarding the
estas
matter?
negociaciones de tres, Canadá, Estados Unidos y México, sí ha mantenido una relación. ¿Cuál es la posición de Canadá con respecto a apoyo a nuestro país? Porque finalmente es un negocio de tres.
Es buena la relación.
The relations are good with Canada.
Nos comunicamos,
We communicate,
desde luego,
but of course, between functionaries,
la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores,
the Secretary of the,
funcionarios de Canadá, cuando había la
Canada and Foreign Relations,
se llegó a un acuerdo
We
conjunto.
came to an agreement together.
Muy buenas las relaciones.
Relations are very good with Canada.
Se está separando
We're separating it
lo del tratado,
with the treaty
este tema.
regarding this matter.
Nosotros consideramos
We consider
se va a ratificar el
that it
tratado
will be
en
ratified
México como en Canadá.
in the treaty in Mexico and Canada and in the US.
Puede haber más debate
There may be more debate in the US,
en el caso de
but
Canadá.
not that way in the case of Canada.
No va a haber ningún problema.
And without doubt, there won't be any problem in Mexico.
Ya está la propuesta.
It's already been proposed, that's been, and have been approved in our country.
Eso no hay
Of that, there is no doubt.
todas las opciones.
And in the analysis of all the options,
Desde luego que se contempla
we're also considering
tener la relación
maintaining commercial relations and economical and financial
ya como
with Canada,
un país
like a country
que
that
podemos
that we can continue to have,
solo
not only
actuar
continue
en el marco del tratado
related to the treaty
de Estados Unidos,
with the United
tratado
States,
comercial,
the commercial treaty, but also
y llevar a cabo
to continue to
acciones
have
bilaterales.
bilateral interactions with Canada.
Muy buenas relaciones.
But it is a very good relationship.
¿A partir de cuándo implementaría el tema de quiénes tienen la impartición digo porque tal parece que algunos jueces han convertido.
Okay, so he's asking, when are you going to let us know who's who regarding the legal matters? He says, because it appears that certain judges
En un talón de Aquiles para el desarrollo del
have become an Achilles tendon to the development of
país.
our country.
Como un ejemplo,
And let me give you an example.
la jueza Luis María Ortega,
That Judge Luis Maria Ortega Clapa
otorgado amparos en su momento cuando el Chapo para que no fuera extraditado.
so she gave protection to El Chapo at the time that he was, they were trying to arrest him. And so, you know, he thinks we need to recognize that. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so protection. I was just making sure I'm using the right word. So that he could not be extradited to the U.S. Also, she gave protection to the football player, Marquez, so that his bank accounts could not be opened. And also for Lozoya to not be detained. And she also gave protection to the owner of FICEA. And what is the advancement with the power of the Supreme Court now that they have complained against Eduardo Medina Mora that has transferred millions of dollars to the United Kingdom? When will you implement that program of who's who, where it deals with the implementation of justice? So I believe that this has, I insist that this has been an Achilles heel for the justice being carried out. Well, this section is now inaugurated. Right now. Right now. You started it. The most important thing is the transparency. Look here. What is said here, I am not exaggerating, but it does have an effect. Everything we say here in this collective group. So therefore, when will we inaugurate it? Right now. What you're suggesting, or what I say, and what I say I'm going to do to end corruption, all of us need to help. Let nobody try to quiet us or that there be silence, so that you can complain against people. That's the form to behave. So that if you complain against somebody, you need to also include the proof and present it. If there's a problem, if there's no problem with due process, we will present it to the attorney. All transparency. Public life, always more public. And it ends. It ends. No more possibility
tocar al intocable.
of saying that you cannot touch the untouchables.
Eso es lo que hay que buscar.
That's what we need to look for. The way
Cualquier denuncia vaya
that
acompañada de
any complaint needs to be accompanied with evidence,
que se tengan elementos.
and that you have the elements that are necessary. If it's a tribunal, this guy didn't present any evidence. No, it's transparency. It's the golden rule of democracy. So this guy's just saying it. No, he's just suggesting something
Dominio público,
that is public dominion.
creo yo.
And I believe,
¿No salió esta información en los medios?
didn't this information come out in the news media?
Hoy lo trae el Universal, lo de Medina Mora y lo de la jueza también.
Yes, Universal has this
Falta
on there.
las pruebas,
But of course, now we need the proof,
se presenten las denuncias
and also that you make the complaints. Because what our part is
que nos llegan,
that whenever you give us a complaint or information,
que hacemos,
what we do,
damos denuncia.
we turn it over to the judicial department.
Pruebas,
Anytime we have proof,
denuncia.
we also give the complaints. So he's saying that by them being allowed to just say it without there out loud without the evidence, that if it doesn't stain you, it marks you or brands you. So you said that at one time that when people made allegations, even if they weren't true, you would be branded with people remembering that.
Pero si hay pruebas,
But if there's evidence
no se afecta
and it doesn't affect the process, the judicial process,
el debido proceso,
the due process,
pues ni modo
well,
que no hablemos de estos temas.
of course, we still have to talk about these matters.
Pero esto vulnera.
So the United States is complaining against Medina Mora. What opinion do you have respecting that, since the U.S. is following that case? But if they made that complaint, it'll be coming
Para que
so that we
se
can
presente,
present it,
en este caso,
in this case,
a la Fiscalía General
to the fiscal general
o al Consejo de la Judicatura.
or
Hay información del gobierno,
there's government, the information from the U.S. government. Oh my God.
pero eso no significa
But that doesn't mean
que sea
that he is guilty. These are just initiations of these questions.
el debido proceso.
If it doesn't affect the due process,
Es una información que tiene la Oficina de Inteligencia Financiera.
so it's a branch of the Financial Information Department.
El gobierno de Estados Unidos.
The information is provided by the United States.
Siempre y cuando haya denuncia,
If there ever is a complaint, if there's no complaint, then of course no.
en el caso de nosotros,
In the case of us,
en el caso de nosotros, la actitud
the attitude
es que
and the
todo
criteria
lo que nos llega,
that everything that comes to us
lavado de dinero,
regarding money laundering
enriquecimiento,
or becoming illicit riches, all these things
canaliza
will be funneled
la Fiscalía General.
to the Attorney General.
Si considera se presenta denuncia.
And if it's considered, they'll
No tengo
notify.
información si la oficina
I do not have the information
financiera
if the in financial intelligence, but the instruction was that they have
es que todo
that all of it,
que llegue
anything that comes
a esa oficina
to that office
con pruebas
with proof or evidence,
cuando se trata de los convenios internacionales
what especially when it means to has to do with international,
la fiscalía
has to be presented
quedarnos
to the fiscal general, not to protect in any way.
no fue un aviso
No, it was an advisement.
de una información
It was an information
del gobierno de Estados Unidos.
from the government
Siempre
of the
se
U.S.
actúa
We always act in every case.
un solo caso
There is no case
que no se presente una denuncia.
that we will not present a
Es, no
complaint.
se guarda nada, no se
We will not cover anything.
no hay impunidad.
There is no impunity.
Eso no significa que sean culpables,
That doesn't mean that they're
nada más un criterio.
guilty. It's just a criteria that we've defined.
Y la información
And the information
no
will be delivered
afecta
if it does not affect
el proceso.
due process.
Sí defiendo
I do defend
sin afectar la dignidad de las personas.
that without affecting the dignity of people, that you ventilate these cases.
Lo peor,
The worst thing of all,
el colmo,
the worst part of it,
en periodo neoliberal,
in the neoliberal period,
es que no se
is that they
siquiera la respetabilidad.
didn't even lose their respectability.
¿Quiénes eran los ladrones?
Who were the thieves?
¿Quiénes eran los corruptos?
Who were the corrupt?
Los que se robaban una bolsa en el mercado,
What, the ones that stole a bag in the store?
que pedían mordidas.
The ones who would ask for bribes?
Me acuerdo que hacían estudios
I remember they used to do studies
de la transparencia
about transparency
para ver el grado
to
de
see
corrupción en un país.
the grade of corruption. So with corruption in each country, so they would just leave wallets
Distintos sitios,
in different places
para ver
to see
cuántas carteras se perdieron,
how many wallets were stolen
se dejaban en el sitio.
and how many were left in their place. And that's how they measured
El grado de corrupción.
the level of corruption.
Cuando estaban saqueando,
But when they were looting,
lo que es entregar
imagine what it's like
el
to
40% del territorio nacional
give 40% of our country for exportation of mineral mining,
y eso se veía normal
and that appeared normal.
por los contratos leoninos
Or the contracts were
y
um,
no pasaba nada.
and nothing happened.
Ya basta de
So
simulación
that's enough of simulation.
con los impuestos.
Same thing with the taxes.
Había que cobrarle impuestos.
They would just continue to ask for taxes from the ones that are working on the street that has no option, no alternatives to feed his children. And the ones on the top would not pay taxes. And if they did pay taxes, they would get it back as a refund.
¿Por qué esa hipocresía?
Why that hypocrisy?
No,
No.
para acabar con la corrupción,
To end corruption,
que es lo que más ha dañado a México,
what most has damaged Mexico,
el
Nothing hurts Mexico more than dishonesty. That is the principal cause of inequality, economical and social, of the situation that's monstrous in our country. If we end that, you need to complain against people and stigmatize the corrupt. Not to applaud them, not to consider them astute or smart, but dishonest. So it's not an example to follow. Before they used to, in some cases, they used to say, study so that when you grow up you can be like that guy. But it turns out he's a reverend in thievery. This needs to change. Of course, there has to be proof. Not because of that. I'm in the favor of debating and critique. Imagine how many things they say about me. And of course it's permitted. But before, it was only a message from one side. Now it's both sides. Coming and going. That's why we have the competent authorities that can have confidence in the Attorney General and also to have confidence that we don't have any enemies and we don't want to have them. There is no indicator to affect anybody. The only thing there is not to permit corruption. Zero corruption. You can replicate or debate it, but with respect. Something about the United States communication. But tomorrow I'll answer that. I don't know. You have not commented about these things with somebody.
Buenos días, presidente. Muchas gracias. Soy Pablo Velázquez de Los Mochis. Ni uno más, ni un corrupto más en gobierno. Con relación a su reunión del día de ayer con gobernadores animados del PRI, ¿cuál fue el resultado de la reunión y si se pudieron tocar temas particulares? Por ejemplo, Sinaloa es conocido como el granero de México. Hay mucho nombre, sobre todo en estas semanas.
So, what about the situation that you met with the people from the PRI? What were the topics? And, for example, there's some uncertainty in Sinaloa regarding with the agricultural groups that they're worried about regarding the supports, the guarantees, guaranteed prices, the price of putting things in storage, everything. That will they be giving the help in time, or will it be like in the previous governments? Has the governor from Sinaloa been able to talk to you yet about the preoccupations of the people from Sinaloa? And he said no.
Fue una conversación general.
No, it was a general conversation.
Sostuve con los gobernadores del PAN.
Just like I had the conversation with the groups of the party PAN
Que surgen del PAN.
that are related to the PAN.
Y como está en debate o se está
Or they're having debates
hablando
or talking about the matter,
los aranceles,
about the tariffs
impuestos,
or the taxes. And that's what we talked about
gobernadores del
with the governments of the PRI. And it was a very good reunion. Very good reunion
con los gobernadores del PAN.
with the governors of the PAN.
Hay una muy buena relación.
It's a very good relationship.
Creo que
That's why I
acompaña del sábado
think they will be accompanying us on Saturday. They will be assisting to the convention.
este encuentro
To this meeting of everybody
para fortalecer
to fertilize
la grandeza de México,
the greatness of Mexico
promover también la amistad.
and to promote also the friendship with the United States.
Con relación al día de ayer, tengo entendido que hoy tiene su agenda
Today I understand they have their agenda
de ABC.
with the parents of ABC.
Su expectativa de resultado, si convocará a la unidad a un solo frente, no estar dispersos y sobre todo si también podemos participar en
So will you be meeting with the parents and will it be a unified front? And also if we can attend that meeting.
Bueno, tengo entendido que se logró
I have an understanding, or I've been notified that it was reached,
que un grupo
that one group,
mayoritario y
majority group,
influencia de casi
with influence of most of them,
vengan hoy
they're going to be coming today. And they'll be coming today in the afternoon
a las 6 de la tarde
at 6 p.m.
aquí en Palacio.
here in Palacio.
Yo lo que propondría es de que
I would propose
reunamos
that,
ellos,
that I reunite with them
se pueda hablar bien,
so they can talk
esto
privately
sin espectáculo.
without an spectacle, to be careful of that.
Si ellos lo deciden,
And if they decide,
hablar con ustedes.
they can talk with you guys. Thank you.
Los dos.
The two of you.
Muy buenos días,
Very good day,
Luis Flores,
Luis Flores,
Diario El Agro del Estado de Guerrero.
from the state of Guerrero.
Guerrero. El 9 de febrero de este año
The 9th of February,
dio el banderazo de arranque, se va el término del Programa Nacional de Fertilizante.
so you started the program National Fertilizer on that day.
Ahí dio a conocer fertilizante gratuito para el Estado de Guerrero como un programa piloto.
So that you said you were going to be starting a pilot program of free fertilizer in the state of Guerrero.
Este programa de fertilizante del Estado de Guerrero, de apoyo del Estado, para estímulo a los productores,
To stimulate
radiquen en estas tierras, viene de hace 24 años.
the growth has been going on for 24 years.
Los últimos 3 años ya están dando de manera gratuita el gobierno del Estado.
For the past 3 years, they have been giving that fertilizer for free already.
Y usted decidió el 9 de febrero asumir esa responsabilidad como gobierno federal para
And you decided to assume that responsibility as the federal government
apoyar a los productores.
to support producers.
Se recibió con buen ánimo.
The people received it with goodwill.
A las 3 semanas,
After 2 to 3 weeks,
secretario
the Secretary of Agriculture, Villalobos,
representante
came with his
director de
director of fertilizers.
ingeniero Gay François,
Gray Francois, the engineer, came with him.
y anunciaron que no solamente iba a ser el fertilizante gratuito, sino también semilla de maíz mejorado,
So they announced that it would not just be the free fertilizer, but also the seeds of non-GMO, non-genetically modified seeds,
y también biofertilizante.
and also biofertilizer.
Todo este programa, 1.300 millones de pesos.
And this program will cost 1,300 million pesos.
Resulta que los productores de alto rendimiento, de mediano rendimiento y de bajo rendimiento
So as a result, the producers of high yields and medium yields and small yields,
no saben de este maíz mejorado porque
they are not aware of this improved grain
no ha habido parcelas demostrativas,
because they haven't been doing anything to expose it.
porque esta semilla mejorada, entre comillas, pues nadie la conoce,
Because nobody knows even about these, nobody even knows these seeds.
no está certificada,
It's not certified.
está certificada, no está en el precio de informes de las semillas del Servicio Nacional de Inspección.
It is not in the list of grains that's in the inspectors, that is provided by the inspectors
Y certificación de semillas.
for certification of seeds. So if,
Que les van a dar un bulto de semilla por producto. Y se
and so they said they're gonna be giving a, like a lump of grain to each producer.
hacemos cuentas, saldrían 400 millones de pesos.
But if we took an accounting, it would be 400 million pesos,
Que ha sido un fracaso en anteriores administraciones,
which has been a failure with the previous administrations.
precisamente por improvisar, por no hacer parcelas demostrativas.
Simply because they also did not give documentation to, so that people can be advised of it in it, not like pamphlets or something like that, that they weren't given any kind of education as to what was available.
Lo mismo sucede con el biofertilizante, que son otros
The same thing is occurring with the biofertilizer, which is another
100 millones de pesos.
100 million pesos.
Entonces, de los 1.300 millones de pesos, 500
So of the 1,300,000 pesos, 500,000
millones de pesos se van a echar a perder.
are going to be wasted or will be lost.
¿Qué hicieron con el maíz regalado o ofertado en anteriores administraciones?
What did they do with the free grain that was offered in the last
En
administrations?
lo particular, pues el venido Torreblanca Galindo. Entonces, no lo utilizaron.
So they didn't utilize it,
Los marranos lo tiraron.
so they gave it to the pigs or they threw it away.
Que no vaya a ocurrir lo mismo con esto.
Let's not have this happen again.
Señor, su delegado en Guerrero, Pablo Amílcar Sandoval,
So the delegate, Pedro Amilcar Sandoval,
cuando usted anunció
when you announced this program,
que se iba a hacer una asamblea en todos los ejidos,
that they said that they announced that they were going to be doing an assembly in all the little towns
para certificar
to
que
s-
realmente fueron los productores los que recibieran el fertilizante.
to certify and to ascertain that it really was the producers that were receiving the fertilizer
Y que había corrupción.
and that there was corruption.
Entonces,
And so therefore,
se había registrado para el gobierno del Estado
it was registered
300
within the government. They made a list of 380,000 producers.
Pues resulta que a la unas semanas dice el señor delegado que eran 401,000.
So later they said it was 400,000 later in that week.
Ahora, no que había corrupción.
So now,
Hoy,
was there
la
corruption?
página de la SAGAR, digo de la SADER, y no están las listas de
And so now, if you look through the list, the names of the producers are no longer there.
no están las listas de las asambleas.
There's no list of assemblies.
La Secretaría de la Función Pública tendrá que revisar esto.
The
Aquí están las pruebas.
he has the evidence.
Los rangos de precios son entre 600 y 1,000 pesos por kilo del maíz.
So it's about 600 pesos per kilo,
Mejorado certificado,
and it's certified.
facturando a 1,235 pesos.
And they're showing it at 1,200, so double the price.
Entonces, fíjense que la Secretaría de la Función Pública va a tener que revisar a su hermano,
So,
que es el delegado de Guerrero.
so her brother is the one who's in charge of that,
Familiares, no sé, pero el señor
is in charge of it.
delegado Pablo Amílcar Sandoval y el señor François, el ingeniero gay François, que es del Programa Nacional de Restaurantes, jamás han informado en detalle como usted lo ha dicho.
So these people have never informed us in detail, such as you do here.
El 23 de enero de este año que yo vine, se le habían dicho de los pertenencias que usted había ofrecido, le había hecho recuerdo, incluso habíamos hablado del plan nacional.
And on when I came before, we talked about the national plan, and I reminded you of that grain that you discussed.
Le he dicho que había que tener cuidado.
I told you we had to be careful.
Es de 30, nada más entregado el 30% de fertilizantes.
And they only gave about 30% of the fertilizer.
Ya estamos en las lluvias.
And we're already in the rainy season. So imagine,
No, que no está certificado.
As-
Garantiza la
so they're giving us a seed that is not certified,
la germinación.
that,
Va a poner
that you're not certified the germination,
fertilizante,
and you'll put fertilizer on it,
va a poner biofertilizante,
and you'll put biofertilizer, and it will not germinate.
mucho realismo,
So how will that leave our
tristeza, no ver la producción.
that will be the sadness of not seeing the production.
Poner más criterio que distribuya
I want you to ask you to instruct them what needs to be,
correctamente.
that they inform you correctly,
Estoy diciendo que no quieren la semilla,
that we don't want,
precisamente el presidente del Colegio de Ingenieros Agrónomos,
the person that's saying that we don't want the seeds is the president of the engineering of agriculture
del Estado de Guerrero.
in the state of Guerrero.
Presentó que también es presidente de la Comisión de Agricultura del
He's also the president of the Commission of Agriculture.
Consejo de Desarrollo Rural guerrerense, que es un colegiado donde participan productores, instituciones, academias, investigadores científicos. Entonces, no se trata de grillar, y tampoco se trata de afectar a alguien en lo particular. Ojalá no me manden el patear como lo hicieron después que yo vine con usted el 23 de enero de este año. Muchas gracias.
She says that they seem to be all working together, and he's fearful that they will kick him out like they did last time after he talked to him.
Gracias.
No, tú tienes toda la libertad de
You have-
manifestarte.
You have all your liberty to manifest yourself and to express yourself.
Mira, vamos a pedir un informe
We're going to ask for a report,
y mañana
and tomorrow,
que esté aquí
when I'm here,
el secretario de
or when the Secretary of Agriculture is here, I will inform them.
yo no descarto lo que tú dices.
I am not forgetting what you've said, only
Dejo manifiesto
I'm also leaving us
esto de los fertilizantes,
that even with the
intereses creados,
that there was regarding the fertilizer, there had been interests that were created that were selling the fertilizer in Guerrero,
y que ahora
and now
pues se decide
they've decided
entregar los fertilizantes
that we're deciding to give the fertilizers from the federal government.
pues
so that's not convenient for them. However, you have all the right to express your inconformity. And tomorrow, the Secretary of Agriculture will give you information right here to all of you. And of course, the people from Guerrero, who's most concerned in this case.
Roberto Morales, del periódico Universal. Presidente, dos preguntas. Primero, conocer su opinión sobre la decisión de las calificadoras Moody's y Fitch de otra vez lanzar a la baja lo que tiene que ver la deuda soberana y también esa crediticia.
Pues respetamos,
We respect people's opinion,
seguimos sosteniendo
but we continue to sustain
bien
that we are doing well,
que va a crecer
that it will grow more.
la economía,
The economy,
que cuando menos
that at the very
va a
least,
crecer
it will grow 2%.
en el sexenio, vamos
And that within the 6 years, we will
compromiso de crecer
comply with the commitment to be at 4%.
y que con todo respeto
And with all respect,
la falla
the failure
que tienen las calificadoras
that the qualifiers have
y los expertos
and the experts
en materia financiera
in financial material
es de que
is that they
aplican la misma metodología
they apply the same methodology
de hace más de 3 décadas.
from over 3 decades.
Es la metodología que se usó
It's the same method that was used
en el periodo neoliberal.
during the neoliberal period
Tomaba en cuenta,
that would not take into account
en palabras tecnocráticas,
in technocratic words the variable
corrupción.
of corruption.
Entonces,
Therefore,
por eso
for that reason,
sus pronósticos
their
no resultan
diagnosis aren't giving result.
éxito.
They won't,
Pero
but
a las pruebas me
but
remito.
let's see what happens with the evidence.
De todo en este contexto de
Para nada, porque
negociación
no,
mediante el amago de Donald Trump.
no, porque
Are you worried?
nosotros no vamos a contratar
We're not going to be contracting debt,
mejor dicho,
or we will not increase public debt.
tenemos finanzas públicas sanas,
We have healthy financial
buena recaudación,
terms.
vamos bien en el ejercicio del presupuesto,
We are going well with our budget.
no tenemos problema de inflación,
We have no problem with inflation.
a pesar
But even with all these,
que está lloviendo fuerte,
that it's been raining hard on us, but
pues han hecho mucho.
that his
Este
countrymen said, even so,
eso, o sea, resistiendo.
the peso is resisting.
Entonces,
Therefore,
bien, y
we are doing well.
eso es lo que puedo decirle.
That's all I can say to the people.
Porque cada vez hay más trabajo,
Because there's always more work.
aumentó el salario,
Salaries were
eso
increased.
no lo dice
They won't tell you about that,
los expertos.
the experts.
Hay más bienestar,
There's more well-being.
tenemos todavía asignaturas pendientes, pero estamos.
There's still things that are pending.
Se ha documentado en los últimos días que hay una empresa gastronómica que se llama Birudi que pues está haciendo contratos con toda la administración para pues viandas tipo gourmet, como serrano, agua mineral francesa. Yo quiero preguntar dónde quedó la austeridad republicana.
Yo no sé quién está.
La Nacional Financiera y Conacyt.
Oh, so they're buying these expensive things um,
no se compren esos alimentos
um,
caros.
they shouldn't be buying expensive things on the people's money. So we'll be examining that.
Qué bueno que la Universidad le está
I'm glad.
diciendo que no haya extravagancias.
I'm glad that they're checking that there's no extravagances.
Pero
However,
hay que revisar eso.
we need to examine that,
Tiene una responsabilidad.
and if someone's responsible, they need to be dealt with,
Con las medidas de austeridad.
because they need to be compliant with the measures of austerity when they're public servants.
Trataré de ser muy breve. Como bien señala usted, una notación no es buena para la Comisión Mundial, para la teoría de comercio internacional, que somos un país chico, de ellos un país grande. Ahora, como bien sabemos, los ingresos no son una situación más grande por externo. Bien señala usted que hacer el consumo interno, que favorecer la inversión, que racionalizar el gasto, prudentemente las finanzas públicas.
So he's talking about finances, buying more from the inside. They want to implement a formula that will prevent the loss for if they do have the tariffs. To,
Sería la clave, salvo su mejor opinión, dar valor agregado al
To-
comercio internacional.
to
El valor agregado y el contenido regional no ha crecido. El comercio ha crecido, pero poco ha favorecido a la población. Hay
so the growth has not favored the population.
meter ante su distinguida consideración que en materia de un fenómeno que se da en todo el mundo, 2.500 casos hay de irresponsabilidad directa en incrementar el ingreso per cápita y detonar el crecimiento. Se llaman free trade areas, free trade zones, extra trade export areas, extra trade processing zones, o recintos fiscalizados, o
They're asking to
1.500 casos
implement areas so they can have growth.
Vietnam tiene 32 en el TPP. Nosotros no tenemos uno. Tenemos 3.000, son 12 puntos. Voy muy rápido en ellos, señor presidente, y gracias por su bondad en permitirme expresarlos. Una política inteligente de sustitución de importaciones no está peleada con el éxito, al contrario, hay que ver el caso de Corea. Corea tenía $80 de ingreso per cápita y hoy tiene $30.000 de ingreso per cápita 60 años después. A 20 años de maquiladora absorbió toda la tecnología y se diversificó en los sectores estratégicos. México tiene más de 60 años ya de la primera maquiladora en el 65, ¿se acuerdan? De la RCA. Y bueno,
So he's saying that we're not doing anything to improve investment and the way the Mexican people are paid. So he's got 12 points he wants to discuss. They're not paying attention to fiscal strategies. To look at Thailand, China, Korea, but it seems very complex.
como bien lo señala usted y lo que tratamos de hacer en el sur y en el sureste finalmente, estos proyectos no ayudan
These projects.
en base a la vocación de cada región y su fracción a las ventajas competitivas. Ahora, ya muy rápidamente, la incorporación de las pymes que es nula en el desarrollo nacional es clave en el éxito de la industrialización y la directa.
I am sorry, but this is just too much talking with things that have to do with finances.
Si no crecemos al 6.5, no podemos generar
He says if we don't grow to 6.5, then we're not going to increase labors.
que salen de ingresos. Eso lo pretendemos por el esfuerzo que se hace de canalizar a los jóvenes, pero creo que es el crecimiento económico, incluso el
He says he's going to finish soon, and people left.
Las fronteras se fortalecen como también
To strengthen the borders.
y ahí sí estamos muy bien en cuestión de asistencia social, de programas sociales de la periferia y el centro de la mañana.
Oh my gosh.
Nada más aquí la situación, si hubiéramos tomado las medidas de tipo fiscalizado de proteínas, ya tuviéramos un ahorro balanza de pagos de 5.000 millones de dólares anuales. Porque hay que ver, la exportación se hace más competitiva y la importación se abarata.
So he's proposing
La importación
some,
si tenemos
how should I say, formulas to increase the financial growth of Mexico's money.
del lado mexicano, por ejemplo, los dólares, que es el principal bastión del comercio internacional, que es el tema que hablamos hoy, tenemos muy buenas al otro lado. Del lado mexicano, ¿cómo hacemos? Del lado mexicano lo que sí tenemos son 20.000 INIs. Y son para un mexicano ganar un poquito, una migaja de ese dinero, 360.000 millones de dólares, 15.000 pesos diarios. El que llega aquí, tiene que llegar
It is just too much to say, I think, in this meeting. So, there's a lot to say, but he's not going to talk more on that matter. He wants to improve commercial international trade.
Muy bien su exposición.
It's a very good exposition,
Ojalá
and I hope
no solo se pregunte,
not only do they ask,
hagan análisis.
but that they actually do analysis like that.
Nada más es digo, una crítica cariñosa,
It's a respectful critique.
nada más lo que
It's it's not just what they're asking.
pregunta eso.
Ask this, ask that.
No,
He says also,
periodismo es análisis,
Also,
es reflexión,
period,
con todo respeto.
the media is analysis.
No vayan a sentirlo como un regaño.
Don't feel like he's been.
Qué bien,
Uh,
planteó el señor.
he says it's a very good thing what he's asking.
¿Qué es lo que está diciendo en esencia?
What is he saying in
Que
essence?
no solo es
That it's not only
el comercio,
the commerce for the foreign, but he's got data
y lo demuestra.
that demonstrates
Cuando no teníamos
when we had none,
el volumen de comercio exterior que tenemos ahora,
the volume of foreign commerce that we have now,
crecimiento económico en México,
there was more economical growth in Mexico.
eso es lo que en esencia
That's what in essence he's saying. Do not discard the fortifying of the internal market.
en una circunstancia como en la que estamos,
In the circumstance which we find ourselves,
son así, ¿por qué no?
to listen to a reflection like that, why not?
Vamos a estarnos viendo mañana,
We'll be seeing each other tomorrow,
seguimos
and we'll keep talking,
y ayúdenme
and help
a
me
convocar,
to explain,
corran la voz,
give the word.
va a haber este encuentro
Let them know that we're going to have this convention, this meeting,
para unirnos
so that we can be united to defend the dignity of Mexico,
al mismo tiempo
and at the same time to defend
la relación de amistad
the friendly relationship with the people of the United States.
que nada separe
That nothing separate
la
us,
amistad
the sacred relationship
del pueblo
with the people
de Estados Unidos,
of the United States,
del pueblo de México y del pueblo
Okay, that's it.
Mañana.
We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Whew. That was a whole lot of talking. And I'm sorry, but I could not give all the details on that. Anyway, I'll end this transmission now. Thank you.